light force of your bond. A power like light itself. Unseen for generations. A dyad in the force.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of DYAD the Force, episode 211. Shout out to Stream Elements. Shout out to Kenny. Says, even though the game is ending in October, still pissed about that. Just got a teaser for the next character, possibly a playable Twi'lek, and could be a support type. I don't know where you want that to go, though, considering what's happening to the game. But, you know,
yeah, still play it, still enjoy it, but again, it sounds like the playtests didn't go well for moving it to PC. And I mean, I think that the launch of it was largely a debacle, and that's my take on why we are where we are. Because they could have launched a year earlier, and had they done that, and had it been, you know, cross-platform with PC to begin with, I think it would have done better. But like now, you can't jump into the marketplace after Marvel Rivals is already out there doing its thing, and Overwatch, you know, made a bunch of changes in order to compete, and then you're like trying to introduce another, you know, I don't know.
I feel like if you're gonna do stuff like Galaxy of Heroes and like stuff that is truly plays well with mobile, then yeah, go for it. But I wouldn't try to I guess penetrate the mobile market with something that is clearly either like console or PC gameplay focused, right? You want the gameplay to be centered around the input method of the platform and not your input method designed around the platform. So like, for example, this one, you know, it's like a fully 3D game. No mobile phone has analog sticks. They don't have mouse and keyboard. So they have to manufacture an input method for mobile. So I feel like, you know, Hunters was a game that was suited for console and PC control methods, you know? How you doing, Choco?
Yeah, very much so. I'm doing all right. I've been playing Assassin's Creed, and been having a blast with that. It's a great game already.
Wait, Shadows?
Yep.
Man, whenever we get lost in like the hate sauce, I just don't know when games come out anymore. I'm still trying to get on Split Fiction again because we haven't finished that.
Yeah, no, it's been a crazy past couple days, but yeah, no, we'll definitely finish it.
If lobbies are open, I would love to talk about this if you want. The lobbies are always open, but I'm not always monitoring them because nobody regularly calls in. So if you want to call in and talk about it, you can. Yeah, we definitely have to finish Split Fiction. In today's episode of DYAD in the Force, they had an ANDOR live stream with Tony Gilroy, and there's this article on StarWars.com, 6 things we learned from the ANDOR live stream, and we're gonna go through it with you guys, and we're also gonna be talking about our favorite moments from ANDOR season 1. We had next week we're ramping up our road to ANDOR season 2. We're gonna be inviting Aaron, that space, who's still thinking about Cal Kestis, and also Elizabeth,
Always.
Marjade.
As you should.
And we're gonna have an ANDOR/Rogue One party. So that's next week. This week we're going to talk about the live stream and what we've learned from the live stream. And 1 second as I adjust levels because I hear clipping. Yeah, we're going to discuss this live stream and we're just going to hang out with you guys like always. Shout out to Chase in the chat, Forward into the Black. I try and tell people that the perfect multiplayer FPS is still running today. Quake Live has been out 20 years. You know, sometimes I get the inkling to load up Raven Shield, which was my favorite FPS back in the day. Which was a Wednesday. Still gonna make those jokes.
What's the one that's been out forever?
Siege.
Yeah, I mean, Siege.
What do you mean?
It's not a shooter, but just knowing that people are still playing RuneScape is crazy. It's crazy to me.
Listen, I just had an interview today for EverQuest. That 1999 is still being played.
I remember I remember how deep into EverQuest all my friends were. I wasn't a PC guy back then.
Neither was I.
I was
back
just
then,
just
1999. I was 14.
Wasn't a guy. I
was 14.
Yeah.
My access to games was like Math Blaster on the IBM PS2 computer. I had like 4 megahertz of power. I think the biggest game I played back then was Full Throttle by LucasArts. I have the HD remaster. I still have yet to play it. I might stream it. Counter-Strike 1.6. 3 things will survive nuclear winter: cockroaches, Twinkies, and OSRS. What's OSRS? Am I just completely like...
original RuneScape?
Oh. Old school RuneScape.
Old school, yeah.
Is that older than EverQuest?
Like, RuneScape was something that was... You were able to play it through your browser and like dial-up. Like, it's like, yeah. It's crazy. And so they added to it and it got, bloated and changed and updated, and it just went on forever and ever and ever. And then they recently released old school RuneScape, and so it's just vanilla, just like it was way back in the day. It's interesting that is a game that refuses to die.
Oh yeah, I mean, in addition to EverQuest, because like EverQuest came out in 1999, one of the first MMOs, and then EverQuest 2 came out, and everyone was like, nah, it went back to EverQuest 1, and so EverQuest 1 is still going. I think they have like 30 expansions now, and they have an annual release cadence too, which is crazy to think about when it comes to a game that old. Like, I thought I was touching sand when I started work on Lord of the Rings Online, but that one's even older.
Yeah.
But in addition to that...
I mean, SWTOR is not that old, but it is very old.
SWTOR is 2012, right?
Yeah, I mean, it came out when... before Star Wars sold to Disney. So
in addition to that, never mind.
That's crazy.
I probably shouldn't say. I just had a couple of interviews this week. But announcements will be made when announcements become announcements, I suppose. Shout out to Jay Bird, who said hello. Shout out to Lord Goob, says, do you think SWTOR will last as long? I think so. If Lotro, EverQuest, and even RuneScape can last, I mean, the budget to keep them running, especially if they have, a minimum threshold of subscribers, like monthly subscribers, it pretty much pays for its own development. Just to kind of put it into perspective, let's see. With the last thing I remember when I used to work on Lord of the Rings Online, with the number of players that they cater to and release to, subscribers, they still make 1.4 million a month. So that's a self-sustaining business model. Even more so for like World of Warcraft or any other kind of MMO with subscription services. Obviously those things are free now, but nobody likes to be free.
Yeah, so they go free to play, but they do put significant gates that make you want to subscribe. My whole thing that I always did with SWTOR is I would have like some type of like prepaid card or something like that that I would use for my subscription. And then I just wouldn't put money on it. So it would stop, but it wouldn't get rid of all my stuff. And then when I play it again, however long later, it would, wouldn't make me delete anything or any of that stuff.
That's pretty smart. Jedi Smart says Black Samurai.
Heck yeah. Again, I'm playing Assassin's Creed Shadows. Listen, I love ninjas. Okay, I do love samurai and that whole era. I love Ghost of Tsushima. I love Rise of the Ronin, which I think is highly underrated. More people need to play that game, and it just came out on PC.
Damn, did you?
Just came out on PC.
You just did the Mo people for Rise of the Ronin.
Well, I mean, one of the interesting things is like they have such unique fighting styles. Like the boss opponents are like anyone who's like named, and each one of them are super unique in fighting styles. Plus, that's from the era when firearms are heavy, and there's a lot of just really interesting weapon usage and play styles and stuff. But Assassin's Creed Shadows is gorgeous. And like, if you're playing as Yasuke, you can kick people and they go flying. Like you are.
That doesn't seem realistic. That seems pretty woke to me.
It feels like what was the movie Game of Death?
Oh wait, with Bruce Lee and
Bruce Lee.
Hakeem Olajuwon.
Well, when he kicks someone, there's just like a footprint. It's like the whole size of his torso. But now is my girl. Now is my girl. That's my preferred play style in most games, is to play someone who is who's quick. I will like intentionally not take a lot of armor just because it raises the difficulty, and play it really based off of like my parries and my just speed and agility and stuff like that. But their fighting styles and how they play is so dynamically different that it really does make it refreshing to play as both. Now, there are some repetitive elements to it. It's the same thing as any Assassin's Creed game, and I think that's where the problem is. Because if you want to play an Assassin's Creed game, it's going to play like an Assassin's Creed game. You know what I mean? That's unavoidable. People would be mad if it didn't. But they
should play like a Ben Shapiro movie.
But they really upped the ante on just about everything. The stealth mechanics, the fighting, the combat is super smooth. Again, it's gorgeous. This launch the performance for this launch has been incredible. But I'm just highly recommend it. I'm having a blast.
First, I was behind on books. Now I'm behind on games. So, I still have to finish Suikoden 2 HD Remaster. Then I have to get Monster Hunter Wild. Then I have to get Rise of the Ronin. Then I have to get Assassin's Creed Shadows.
I will say,
Is Rise of Ronin on sale on G2I?
no, so the PC version just came out. So I would say get that last, because that game is the most likely to go on sale first, out of everything. Craig McGuinn says, one does not simply generalize about Lord of the Rings games after not playing for so long. I don't know what I mean.
He's memeing on that. One does not simply walk into Mordor.
But the funniest thing though is happening, right? Because there are the chuds who will always hate on everything, because Yasuke's black, but they don't want to admit it, so they like play around with other things. They found something new. So in the game, by the way, you can choose canon mode, which would be like the canonical story that fits into the timeline of it. But if you're playing it yourself, there are more options. You can play around, you can romance people and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. There's an option on Yasuke where he can romance a non-binary Japanese person. And you're like, it's woke. It's woke. And that is hilarious to me. Like, yeah. That's like...
It's like how I treat... It's like how I... Like, whenever I play Mass Effect games, and then, like, the guys, like, make a pass, I just be like, nah.
Yeah, right?
I'm into Jack, man. But, like,
if you don't just don't do it.
Just don't romance. That's all.
You can.
They're shoving down uncomfortable situations down our throats.
Yeah, it's funny. I haven't gotten to any of the romance parts yet. I'm still fairly early in the game myself, but yeah, I'm having a lot of fun.
I'm definitely gonna play now. I mean, I think stealth is the way to go. Unless we're all Sung Jinwoo and we play both sides simultaneously, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you're not forced. You're not forced into anything, right? You can swap at any point. There will be certain things that will force you to be a certain character. I will say, because stealth is far and away my preference, and so like Naue is definitely my preference. But it's fun to just run through those goddamn paper walls and just be like, "What's up?"
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. Like, if Sung Jinwoo was a character in the game, he'd probably be stealth and as powerful as Yasuke.
Yeah.
Spooky Kitty says, shout out to Fighting Cowboy for standing up to Chuds. Who's Fighting Cowboy? I probably should know about them. Master James, hey guys, hope you're both doing good. Talent card quota met. You're catching me sleeping.
James Kenobi.
Let's see here. It's woke to have options in games. You know, you're right. I think every game should just say play, and when you play, it goes to the end.
It's just movies now.
One dude kept complaining that I don't want to see it at all, though. Why?
It's so okay. All right. Listen, controversial take. I hope Young isn't in the audience. But I like pineapple on pizza. I do. That's like being like, this shouldn't exist, and you're like, just don't order it. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you can very easily just not get it, and then it's not a problem for you, right? Like, but I know it's there, and so it makes me sad. I don't know. I can't fathom what these idiots think. It's goddamn ridiculous.
Yeah, so many anti-woke people aren't even able to provide their own definition of what woke is whenever I've asked them. I mean, that's been the case since the inception of the use of the word, or at least it's kind of shift
its
in
latest,
utility.
iteration. Dan Slero says, I've been away from Star Wars for a while due to too much online toxicity. What's new in the galaxy? We definitely get it. Dang.
What's new in the galaxy?
Oh, there we go. My live started reconnecting. What's new in the galaxy is that we are super excited for Andor season 2. It's gonna be huge. So yeah, that's a lot of what we're gonna be talking about.
When's the last time he was in Star Wars? Because there's a lot that's new actually. I mean, we just had Skeleton Crew. We had the Acolyte. And then Andor season 2 is coming.
Yeah. So that's the when did you step out? But trust me, we're constantly getting buffeted by that storm. We just we embrace it.
And I find it funny, at least for me, that I declared that I'm back on TikTok just because like everyone's still like fighting the good fight, but I still haven't made a video. I find it hard to make a video, in my situation. I'm not a car talker, and I'm always in my car now, so it's difficult. But like I said, I had interviews this past week, and I'm very confident. So when the situation changes, I'll be back on the desk, and I'll be making more videos. I've been wanting to make the video about Vader choking someone through the hollow for the longest time, and how they explain it in the comics, but I haven't been able to do that.
Do it. Dan Slero said, saw the Acolyte, thought it was okay, didn't deserve the hate. The hate campaign around that was rough. I mean, yeah, I had to take a bit of a break after that. That was
the hate around the Acolyte is akin to a standard police stop, pulling over, and someone says I refuse to ID, and the cop pulls a gun. That's how ridiculously escalated it got for absolutely no reason. You know that video you see from time to time when the guy's like, why'd you stop me, officer? And then they pull a gun and he's like, whoa, that's just way too far. It's like,
Although that leads me to one of my guilty pleasures. Don't be offended by this, anyone, but it's watching white women get arrested.
There's so many of them.
No, there's one. She was like, she was like, I don't feel like. What was the word she says? It was like, I don't feel like doing that right now. And he's like, what? I don't feel like doing that right now. Like, yeah. Ma'am, you cannot. I don't care how you feel. Yeah.
Let's see here. Chase asks, have you been reading Mask of Fear? We have both read Mask of Fear.
Read it, completed it, done with it.
Waiting for people to have read it. Yes. I think we know that Beth has read it and she's going to be on next week, but I asked Erin if she's read it and she said it's on her list, so we're still going to have to tread lightly when it comes to Mask of Fear.
So we have this problem, although it's not nearly what it was during the pandemic, where Pep and I will finish a book in like 2 days, but like we can make videos about it. But if we do, it's just people are just going to skip over them because they haven't read it yet, because no reasonable person could have by that time.
Speaking of which, we have a guest that's calling in. I think their name is Chase.
Speaking of unreasonable,
their ethnic name is Chase.
I am the most unreasonable person.
Unreasonably good looking.
Let's not get carried away. Stop spreading false news on the internet.
You're making this episode woke. Don't put this in uncomfortable situation.
It's true. We're forcing diversity, equity, inclusion upon people. How could you? No, how are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Yeah, doing well. Doing some samurai stuff. The past 2 days, past day, and yeah, I wasn't not awake when you messaged me the other night.
Totally fine.
But it was
never awake.
That was 3 a.m.
Yeah. I had just gotten home from a vampire masquerade party. So I was like, you know what? I'm still awake. I could play Wilds right now.
Yeah. No, I'm always awake. I'm just not always near my computer.
That's
but Vampire Masquerade, you saying that just makes me think of 30 Rock with a werewolf bar mitzvah.
It was not a TTRPG. It was just literally a social gathering where everyone dressed up as vampires. And then people were themed vampires. So the Cullens were there. We didn't have a Nosferatu. I did think of just going in like an old cardigan and khakis and going as Colin Robinson and just boring the shit out of everyone while I was there.
What clan would you put Choco in? Choco, I don't know if you're familiar with that Vampire Masquerade.
Nope.
I was a Malkavian.
You know, it's been so long since I played like I never did a TTRPG. I always played the PC version, the like Source Engine one.
The Bloodlines?
Yeah. I always picked Malkavian because they just seemed like the most normal.
It sounds like a vampire family.
Yeah.
It's like
there was Nosferatu clan, which was just like just the creepy crawly dudes.
Desler in the chat said, my most recent Star Wars book is The Princess and the Scoundrel. Did you guys read that one?
Great book.
Yeah.
Fantastic book.
I was surprised at that. Plus, now after that, seeing everyone like cosplay as Leia with her green dress and all that stuff, and then seeing my boy Thane out there.
Let's actually put Choco through this and see what he thinks about the clans. Pick a clan to join. The Bruja, Gangrel, Lasombra, Malkavian.
That one. Lasombra.
Lasombra? Is it because of Overwatch?
I mean Shadow, but it's because of Spanish.
Okay. So
I don't know what it means. I mean, can I pick like a vampire out of like popular vampire movies?
What's your favorite vampire out of a vampire movie?
Well, if I had to choose to be one, well, you know what? I'm gonna go with Underworld. I'm gonna be one of those Underworld vampires.
Yeah, my favorite vampire is either D from Vampire Hunter D or Celine from Underworld.
My favorite's 30 Days of Night. Those are my favorite vampires. The piranha teeth vampires that just rip everyone apart.
It would be.
They're so good. It's one of my favorite movies, and it's one of my favorite graphic novels. It's so good.
So Choco, you would be a puppeteer in Lasombra.
Like Cesare?
No, kind of like someone who moves the proverbial needle behind the scenes.
They're kind of like deceptive type, like I don't want to say scoundrels. That seems they're misrepresenting
kind of
like Vampire Thrawn or Vampire.
Well, Thrawn sucks at politics, but like,
yeah, I was gonna say more like Vampire. Who the chick that was under Thrawn who ran Lothal?
They are the gaslight gatekeep girl boss of vampires.
Okay.
You know.
I'll take it.
Let's see. Gangrel was a WWE superstar. Malkavians were let's see. They were they were kind of like clairvoyance. Perceive and foretell truths hidden from others. But I always put my points in celerity, like agility. So every time I did missions, I would always just run through it really fast, like a speedster.
I really hope that the Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines sequel has like a co-op feature, kind of like how Baldur's Gate does. Like, I think that would be so cool.
I hope it's like Baldur's Gate. Because then we would all play together.
Yeah. I would, yeah. I loved that game growing up. It was so much fun. I don't think it was one of those games like you put so many hours into, but I never beat it. Like, I just played it all the time, just goofed off. Tried to maintain humanity while feeding on people.
Mask of Fear was an excellent book. Did that in 3 days. Right on, Master James Kenobi.
I am almost done with it.
Spooky says, I had to make a Discord account to debate a chud, so I have a Discord now. Is that your announcement? I know you said earlier you have an announcement. If that is, add us on Discord.
Yeah. Side note, The Lost Boys is my favorite vampire movie.
Okay. That's respectable.
Is that also your favorite Kiefer Sutherland movie?
Oh, there's something else he's in. I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue. Let me.
24.
Well, I mean.
Young Guns is my favorite of his.
Yeah.
And then my favorite of Val Kilmer is Tombstone. Because his portrayal of Doc Holliday was... Well, I can't say historically flawless, but his portrayal was flawless in the movie. I bought every single piece of that character.
I realized what I was thinking of, and it doesn't count, so never mind. I was thinking of Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain.
Oh,
just because his voice, he's all over it. Yeah,
that was a weird.
He did a good Snake. I love David Hayter, but Kiefer Sutherland did a really good job.
Yeah. It's kind of like Doug Cockle and Henry Cavill. It's like in the spirit of.
Yeah.
We got a cup ramen by Cal4. Shout out to Cal4. Emergency meeting. If you unionize, we poison the water cooler. Huh?
Is he playing? Not Repo, but one of them games.
Unsure. Kenny says, "Are we having an emergency meeting at work? What the hell?"
I mean, he works at Walmart.
Oh, not are we? We are. Gotcha. I don't know. Tell us about it. I'm not playing nothing at the moment. I'm doing countertop laundry. Right on. You do that laundry like it's nobody's business but your own.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Choco?
It's gone now. Sorry.
Rest in peace.
I forget.
Oh,
But Chase, what else is new with you?
I just moved. Still in Seattle. Just moved down the block. So getting ready for all the summer traveling and all of that.
did you guys
Been rewatching Andor season 1. Been rewatching The Expanse with Haley.
Yeah, so good.
Expanse.
Why is your
so good.
favorite character drummer?
Okay. Have you guys seen/read The Expanse?
So we've
I've seen the
Expanse.
show. I'm caught up on the show. I've not read it.
Okay. I like and dislike what they do with drummer in the show. I think that like wrapping her up into like Bull was really smart. I don't like what they did with Michio and just made Michio this like side character and then just wrapped her character arc into drummer. I didn't like that because I feel like Michio had like it was a nice perspective to have someone who genuinely did not agree with and like James Holden and had good reasons for that, and then you got their perspective as a character, and to take that away frustrated me. But I can say like that's like one of the few frustrations I have with the TV show. I think that I don't know the actor's name that played drummer. She was incredible throughout the entire show. She did so good. As much as I like wanted Michio to have her own character arc, she did a great job. Like she was awesome.
I mean, that's kind of like 80% of
the performance. Yeah, her performance is is fantastic.
So
now hold on, really quickly. If you separate the book from the show, if you're able to do that.
Yeah.
Is that something that they take away from Drummer, or is it just a version of Drummer that doesn't?
So Drummer's character largely lines up with the book's character. Like they don't deviate from Drummer's characterization in the book while they do the show. They just roll other characters into her and put the Drummer twist on those characters. Like I think both are fine. Like I don't think you're missing out on anything just by watching the show. Like I think if you go back and read the books, you're like, oh wow, there's a lot more characters and they're very interesting and very different characters, but like they did such a good job with the show that I can separate it no problem.
Yeah.
I'm also a big fan of Amos.
Amos, I cannot think there's so many like times where it's like, oh, this is perfectly casted. Amos is one of my like most perfectly casted characters of all time.
Above Marco and Aros?
Because like Marco is such a small part. I think that they did oh my god. I love Marco. and I was joking with Haley. I was like, in the High Republic, they said they wanted Marco and Aros, and they said we have Marco and Aros at home, and that's Markion Row.
That's true.
But so like we're watching it. We're in season 5, and like in season 4 when they first show Marco, I like looked at Haley and I was like, "How do you feel about Marco and Aros?" And she's like, "He's hot." And I was like, "Yes." And she's like, "Is he important?" I'm like, "Yes."
He's a pretty man. You know the people where you're like, why do you look like you're naturally wearing eye makeup? Like
if you watch
Some
the
people are
Diplomat,
just
you'll
gifted.
immediately recognize him as well. Like I was watching the Diplomat, and like as soon as the character came on screen, I was like, "That's Inaros." and yeah, just to Choco's point, is because of the eyeliner, the natural eyeliner.
He's so good. I have not read books 7, 8, and 9 because I'm scared to, because it has a 25-year time jump in the books.
Yeah, I've talked to people who finished it, and it's mixed. You know, like most things, there's people that love the direction and hate the direction.
Yeah, I've heard the mixed things. I've heard it's still good expanse storytelling. However, if you're attached to those characters, how they were the first 6 books, it's going to be different and it's going to feel off, but the story is still good.
I just hearing it, I love the concept. There's only so much pivotal stuff in the galaxy that this one crew can be a part of.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like there are years where not much happens, you know?
The 6 books do a better job of that, of kind of like there's so much time they condense so much of the timeline in the show, which totally understandable. Like in the first part of when they're on the shuttle after the Canterbury gets blown up, they're like on that shuttle for like 3 weeks. Versus like the 2 hours they're there in the show. And like I think the authors do a really good job of being like, we have a lot of time to cover, because like going from Luna to the ring is like months of like journey, and so like they do a good job of kind of explaining that, where it's just like you kind of just get these time jumps in the show, but I totally understand why. And then it's just like, yeah, so much time passes, and like people forget who the Rocinante crew is.
Side note, Wheel of Time is a banger.
I still have to start that. Did they drop the whole season, or is it too?
I think they're doling it out. I'm somewhere in season 3, and I realized not all of it was out, and I was like, I'll wait.
So many people have been recommending Wheel of Time to me. I'm not a huge fantasy person. I definitely like sci-fi more, but just the point, like, maybe I should watch the show because everyone's recommending it.
No,
Yeah,
I was surprised because it just a long time ago when it first came out, I watched the first episode. And I was like, it's kind of interesting, but whatever. I don't really care about any of these characters yet. And of course, I didn't care about the characters. It was the first episode, and I didn't realize what the show was doing. You know what I mean? So I thought the show was doing a bad job making me care about a character. But really, it was like, no, we have 5 protagonists and that are moving forward. You know what I mean? And I especially love that we have a character in there he's just better Anakin. He's just, if Anakin was written better. he even, like, at times I'm like, God, just play young Anakin, please.
Are you saying the prequels have bad writing?
I would never.
Explicitly, yes. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I still love them, which is something that most
Oh yeah,
people can't
100%,
do, right?
100% love the prequels. I commented on someone's like goofy, like, lightsaber battles now versus lightsaber battles then. I was like, y'all remember, like, everyone laughed at Yoda doing backflips audibly in the theater. Like, that was goofy as hell.
I was doing the audible, oh shit.
No, I was made fun of because I like that. And you're like, that's such a
100%.
horrible mischaracterization of Yoda. Yoda would never do this. And you're like,
Yoda shouldn't even have a lightsaber. His strength is that he doesn't need one. He's so powerful on the Force, and he's the great Jedi Master. He doesn't need one. How dare they even have him ignite a lightsaber?
Need I remind everyone who says that, actually? Need I remind everyone he's teaching Luke to flip through a jungle. That's not exactly something you train somebody in if you personally have not flipped through a jungle as a small green Yoda monster. That's what he does.
He's good at the flips. He's good at the flippies.
All right, I got a question for y'all. And if you are in the chat and you have watched or read The Expanse, are you UNN, MCRN, or a belter?
Chase is a belter.
Yeah, I would be a belter. I don't want to spoil anything because it's like, there is technically only one choice by the end of the book.
Chase, I just sent you a picture. Tell me that guy is not young Anakin.
Oh my god. That's very Attack of the Clones Anakin. Like, very, very much so.
I sent you the picture I sent him.
From like the haircut to the jawline to the nose, the eyes.
The character is just
same characterization. Okay.
Just a better Anakin.
On stream.
For me, I would probably be on Mars. I think Mars.
Choco's better Anakin is on stream.
Look at him. You can't tell me. You can't tell me that we shouldn't just bring that actor in. Just be young Anakin.
But that's the thing. We're in like a weird little kind of space in Star Wars where we're approaching like Shadow of the Sith, Luke, and we're doing the whole like deep fake thing, but also we have the person who plays the body model underneath the deep
Already
fake
looks
is a
like-
good one.
Listen, I enjoyed Kenobi for what it was, you know. But when they bring him out and they do their fight, like he's clearly not. He's clearly
Really waiting
aged.
for a child at the daycare.
Yeah. He's like, yeah. Anyways, watch Wheel of Time, people.
And it wasn't even like Revenge of the Sith Anakin, that flashback. It was Attack of the Clones, so even worse because he was really young back then too, without the hair.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll get to the point where Lucasfilm just says we are going to continue the stories of these characters because obviously they do well. We are recasting these characters because the actors have aged out of their respective characters. I think you can keep Ewan McGregor because he's just going to get closer and closer to Alec Guinness's age over time, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
or just keep him because he doesn't age.
Yeah, that's fair. But like Mark Hamill,
But Mark Hamill is clearly too old.
Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Hayden Christensen, like they can't continue on their roles. Like Natalie Portman, maybe.
Oh, she doesn't age at all.
Yeah, she doesn't age, so you could continue to use her.
Well, not so
Keira
much that she
Knightley
doesn't
can also
age;
be
it's that she would just be appropriate for her. You know what I mean? For us seeing her, later in life after the stresses of a war and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But still, even earlier Padme, she can pass as like 16-year-old still.
Yeah. Mark Hamill is no longer passing for early 20s.
No.
And deep fake Luke has dead eyes and they creep me out. Everything like it looks good in like a still, and then he like moves a little bit. Now it's no Henry Cavill's mustache. That still gives me nightmares.
How you look like?
Like
I'm Superman.
why the long face? But yeah, just cast those actors.
If you've seen Cobra Kai, do you guys care about Cobra Kai spoilers?
No.
Not at all.
They digitally recreated Pat Morita in the last episode, and
Was it good?
It was passing, but certain angles made me think of.
Was it like
Fake.
Alien Romulus?
No, it's just that so like coming from a frontal angle, it looks like him, right? But when they try to make him move and like the angle, it's off angle and he's speaking, you can clearly see that it's a model and it's not, it's just. So it was like 50-50 Pat Morita, creepy as shit.
Okay.
Keira Knightley can come back and play Sabe. I don't care.
Absolutely. She can do that for as long as she's alive. Because Sabe is forever.
Forrest
Sabe
Whitaker
is forever.
What was that?
Whitaker will be Saw Gerrera age for
Forever.
the next 20 years.
Forever, yeah.
That's what happens when the character starts out old. You know what I mean? Like we would have to recast a young Saw.
You know what? I would love to see. I would love to see a show. Call it Spark of the Rebellion, and the two stars are Natalie Portman and Genevieve O'Reilly, and it's just about them in like the last month of the Republic.
Damn.
I would love that.
Definitely love that one. For sure.
I mean, whew.
I mean, I would watch a book. I would watch a TV show on Mask of Fear.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say. I mean, her experience of being locked up the first time is not a fun one.
Yeah, the like the flashback sequence in Mask of Fear is like I was not expecting them to go into the detail that they did with how she was treated, what happened in that sequence, and I was like, "Oh, Star Wars, are you growing up finally? Is this what I'm seeing?"
It's been
It's-
growing up.
That's what we need.
Crowd just not growing up with it. Even though
No.
they've grown. Grown ass men complaining about women lifting rocks.
I mean, yeah, but they've grown more and more fragile. That's the only growing they've done.
I don't understand why they don't recast. I don't understand either.
Yeah, I think there's people that should be recast to continue. Like these characters, have stories that they can retell, or they can tell that like the post Return of the Jedi era is great. I know. Gosh, I cannot remember the girl's name that played Leia. Vivian
Lila Blair.
Yeah. She has said, she is like, I am waiting for the call because I want to play teenage Leia. Like I want to age with that character. And I think she'd
She's
be
almost there.
perfect. She'd be
Yeah.
perfect for it.
I mean, we've been talking about Millie Bobby Brown playing it, but then she's almost
She's
gonna
like-
age out of it now.
Yeah, she's like,
We talked about it like a couple of years ago when she was like 16, but now like as she approaches, I don't even know if is she 20 or 19 now? As she gets out of the teenage years, it's gonna age out of.
I think
teenage
Millie
Leia.
probably, not that, I don't mean this in like a rude or she is like, she has aged very well, like into her 20s. Like,
She looks like a woman now.
yes, she went from looking, when she was like, if you look at season 1 of Stranger Things, she played 11. She looked 11. Like, and you see her now, and she looks like a grown woman, and like she's aged very well into that, and she's like, everything I've seen her in, she's been incredible. So
Also, I was watching like some shorts of Millie, like, and the caption is like, "Watch as she loses her British accent," and I'm like, how apt would it be for Millie to play Leia, who just kind of Tourette syndrome's a British accent out of nowhere because of A New Hope? That would be kind of like meta, you know what I mean?
yeah.
That'd be funny. I recently found out that on that kind of topic that Vanessa Marshall is fluent in French, and I think that might actually be her first language, and so that's one of the reasons that she was cast initially, even though it never came up, and that's why she, as Hera, when she gets emotional, she breaks into the accent. I just thought that was really cool.
That's cool. Spooky says, YouTube thinks I'm in love with Billy Bobby Brown. For some reason, my shorts feed is full of her. No, I mean, YouTube's pretty smart, dude. I don't think it's making any mistakes there. I think you're fooling yourself.
Yes and no. See, I don't do YouTube Shorts very often, and so it's because there's a lack of data. It will be like, it'll think, oh, he loves this thing, and like, really, no, I accidentally scrolled with my mouse wheel and it stayed on this video for 10 minutes while I was in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And now I keep getting like, why?
I get car and motorcycle videos all the time.
Yeah.
I have not owned a car in 12 years. I don't know what you're trying to do.
My shorts feed as of late has been guitars. So I'm on a tear.
The irritating one is when you are on TikTok, and again, same thing, you set your phone down, but it's like an ad for someone
Yeah.
on the TikTok shop, and then like you just get that same product over and over and over again for the next like month. And you're
Yeah,
like, I don't want it.
I've had
Damn
to
it.
stop trying
Magic
to use
John.
TikTok while like cleaning or cooking or something like that, because I used to do that because I would run into the same problems. Like, oh, there's an ad. Okay, let me finish what I'm doing, and it just replays like 10 times. I'm like, oh god.
The thing
thinks
is,
I
I've gotten
only want
Magic
that.
John screen protectors for like years,
Oh my god.
and I've bought it twice. I'm just like, okay, I have it.
I still
on
have
my
not
phone.
bought.
Stop.
I've not bought anything off of the TikTok shop.
The last thing I bought, which, man, I'm so susceptible to marketing. It's not even funny. This is the last thing I bought.
I think the last time an ad worked on me was Taco Bell.
This is a Gojo vinyl from my credit card.
All right, all right.
I saw people paying with the cheddar ID from Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, I have my Akatsuki one. Actually, I need to get a new one. I just got a new card. No, I bought stuff off the TikTok shop before. Like, that's where I got our coffee table and stuff. But it's not like... It was like, we need a coffee table, and that's super cheap.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm still waiting for, like, depleted uranium to show up on the TikTok shop.
Honestly, you'd be surprised what you can find. You know, at first, like, looking at furniture on those types of shops, even on Temu, I was like, really? Am I just gonna get like a cloth and a wooden frame? But like, they sell actual furniture on there. It's crazy.
That's great. I remember getting a shoe rack that like off Amazon, and like it was like reasonably priced, and it looked wood, but it was all just like cheap rods with fabric that goes over the cheap rods, and it's just printed to look like wood. And I was like, are you serious?
Or you just get a printed picture of a couch.
Yeah.
No, I've gotten... Yeah, I think I've only ordered, like, larger stuff off of there. I think I get, like, a bookshelf and something else, but... Oh, and if I see something I think my wife will like, I will pick that up. So I got her 2 of those, like, blanket with the hood things with the sleeves that you know. She loves the llama one.
All right. I get a lot of I almost did it, but I thought better because I was getting nonstop PS5 ads on the TikTok shop. And it was always it's the same thing with the TikTok shops. Like, you won't believe someone made a mistake in the pricing. You can get a PS5 for 13 cents. Click on it. It's $400 still. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. I honestly, I block those. As soon as I hear that, I block them. Someone's getting fired for that. Block.
So I re-upped on some guitar pick holders to put on guitars.
Are we playing guitars now?
And I finally got a Star Wars pick. I have Luke, I hope Luke.
I don't buy guitar picks because of the curse of the pick. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the curse of the pick, where you buy a stack of picks and you instantly lose 80%.
Yeah,
and then you keep the last 20% for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
Why do you think
So
I bought this?
like, I've had this pick
because I lost them.
I've had this pick for roughly like 8 years. And if I buy a new pack, I will lose every pick in the pack except this one. I already know. I
had an ex that got me like 50 guitar picks that like had like one of the bands I was in's album art printed on them, which was cool. I still find them like periodically. Some of them are sun bleached now, but like I will find them randomly. Like, oh yeah, and they're like decent picks too. Like, they're not like I don't know if you ever use the Tortex picks, but I really love those. But like for like this one, I think my dad got me like this one. I keep trying to go to my webcam, not my phone, and this one works great.
This is the last 10% that I've had for 12 years.
Yeah.
But the reason I finally ordered new ones is because this happened. Like it's cut basically.
Yeah.
So
I'm spooky says you drop a pick and it falls into another dimension.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I will. I know it's like bad guitar etiquette, but I will slide picks like in between the strings. Mm-hmm. They are not there when I come back to pick up my guitar again.
Listen, I have had the pick fall inside of my acoustic guitar. You know, you shake it, you flip it over, and it falls out, and it's gone. Yeah. And you're just like,
you ever?
How?
You ever? So this is a weird ass thing that happened to me. So the pick falls into the acoustic, and I hear it rattling around, and then I flip it over and do the whole shake it to drop it. It stops rattling. It's like, but nothing fell out.
Yeah,
So
it went into
I
another
took-
dimension.
No, I took my flashlight and it literally slid underneath the sticker that's inside under one of the corners, and it just got lodged in there.
That's awesome. And that's why I don't just turn it upside down and shake it. I actually like hop it to the center and like,
And then flip it.
and then centrifugal force it up, you know?
But that's also why I'm looking at carbon fiber acoustics, because they have the sound hole, the sound hole on the top by the top cut. So like where the first cut happens up top, the sound hole is there instead of around.
Huh. I have not seen
depending
these.
on your brand, yeah.
What do they sound like?
Carbon fiber necks sound really good. I've always liked how crisp they sound.
I'm so out of it when it comes to instruments.
Oh, I mean, I was checking these out like 15 years ago.
I've never seen this.
So
And they're like not badly priced either.
Yeah, not at all. I'm gonna put this up for everyone in the chat to see, but you can see how this is kind of like a Juggernaut Les Paul kind of half cut, but just to kind of give you guys an example of where the sound hole is.
I'll show you where my sound hole is.
Ooh. Are we all gonna whip out our guitars?
Right there.
Okay. All right.
So
I hate it.
You'd have to be a really wild picker for it to fall into there while you're playing. Just like
It'll happen. It'll happen.
part of the reason it falls half the time is because you're trying to do a hybrid style where you kind of tuck it underneath your finger and you're like. Ding, ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding, and
I have a semi-hollow Gibson electric guitar, and I feel so grateful that no pick has ever fallen into the F holes on there. So
Yeah, okay, that model. Okay.
it would never come out.
I terribly miss my semi-hollow body. I used to have a Schecter TSH1, and I loved that guitar so much. It was like, it was one of the last of the good ones too. Before they moved their factory.
I think with my that's actually one of the ones that I want to get.
Since we're guitar talking,
as a next guitar, I want to either get a Schecter or a PRS. But
yeah, I've had this guitar. Oh god, I've had this guitar for like
really good.
15 years now. I broke the E string on it the other day. I need to replace it, but this thing sounds great. Works great.
Is that it?
Yeah, no, I love the
Single cut?
I want one of those so badly.
There's two types of guitarists: ones who play Strats and others who play Les Pauls.
I was more of an SG fan myself of those, but that might have been a rebellion because my sister was a Les Paul girly.
I was always Les Paul, and then my favorite guitar that got lost by Delta Airlines was a LTD Telecaster with EMG pickups. Oh, that's a cool guitar.
A Telecaster person.
I don't like Fenders in general, to be honest. Nothing against Fenders, they just don't do it for me. I don't like the sound, that like kind of twang they have. Someone who's been playing like in punk and hardcore bands.
I imagine.
Yeah, I like super flat, fast necks with like really chunky pickups. So like that Telecaster LTD I had, it just sounded so gnarly. I had like super thick gauge strings tuned to drop A. Awesome guitar.
I know you were playing some crabcore, bro.
No, grindcore, just
Okay.
fast as possible. I think I sent you. Yeah.
Are we all
At some point,
guitar
I'm sure I
players?
did.
Do
Yeah.
we need to start a band? I mean, that would be a horrible band if we're all just guitar players. I mean, obviously.
Oh,
Choco's
I'm
the
not a
drummer.
guitar player though.
Choco's the drummer. I did have an Ibanez, but then I sold that because
I had a 7-string Ibanez. I had a 7-string Ibanez at one point. My recommendation for anyone that wants a 7-string is just get a baritone.
This is the one I play on
Yeah.
right now. It's a Samick Ultramatic, and it's actually really, really nice for the price point that I got it at. It's actually used. Was it used? No, it wasn't used. But like the action's low. The frets could be filed. But I'm not really a shredder anyway. But it sounds really nice since we're showing our guitars. I love the trim on it. I love stroke on typography, so I appreciated the white trim on the guitar. I mean, it's got that Gibson-esque tailpiece and stuff, so it's kind of like a wannabe. It's got like a double cutaway that wants to be an Ibanez, but then like the bridge tailpiece wants to be a Gibson. And then I don't know what they wanted to be when it came to the headstock, but like it's like a single book. It plays well. I could plug it in and make this a music stream, but I'm not going to.
That's so good. I like it a lot already.
What? What?
I'm a big fan of breakdowns in general, but like that one was brutal.
Oh yeah, dude. Just like me and my friend who's back in New York, we started as like a grindcore band, and then we both moved to New York and we just did a 2-piece, and I used like splitter cables to go to like bass amps and like guitar amps, and then just octave pedaled everything down, dropped everything to drop A, and just like made it just chunky and stupid. Just blast beats followed by breakdowns. That's all you need.
I like that flat necks Ibanez makes.
The Warlock necks, those are really good.
That's single coil pickups you're talking about. You could buy Fenders with humbuckers. You can, yeah.
Yeah. I think that the humbuckers they put on there are like your traditional like Les Paul style versus what LTD does. They usually use like EMG pickups, which are they just have a warmer, deeper, chunkier sound. And so like when you, especially if you do like thicker gauge strings, I was very much focused on how dirty can I get distortion, just how thick can I make it. Yeah, like those are fine, but like having like those really gnarly ones, I can't remember, there was a company that like specialized in making like humbucker pickups that were like as deep, like basically could not play anything not distorted. Essentially, like when you put it through a clean channel, it was still distorted.
This is a Slash LP classic that I do not play anymore because the electronics are trash.
Chase, you grew up listening to Every Time I Die, right?
Yes. I was not like crazy into them, but yes. Well, yes.
Okay. I was just trying to think.
That like the metalcore movement, like the Every Time I Die, Job for a Cowboy stuff, like please don't cancel me. My metalcore band of choice was always As I Lay Dying.
Okay. Hey, nothing wrong with that.
I mean, he tried to put a hit on his wife.
Yeah, that's... Yeah.
the double bass in 94 Hours goes so hard.
Oh, I've been meaning to show Choco. Choco, did you know that Story of the Year came out with an album this year?
Yeah, I did not realize that they did. I know you had mentioned it.
I want to play something really quickly. I want to get your take on the drums. And of course, this is the only small portion that I can play. but I think this song kind of went hard. Let's see. Is it this one? Let me stop the other music. This one. No, not that one.
I can't save you. Breaking my neck just to know I'm alive. Carrying the weight till it shatters my spine.
I just thought the drums on that went hard.
No, I like because he. They're certainly creative. They're not what the first thing that comes to mind. I wouldn't say that they're difficult to play, but that would be something that I would just take a few listens.
Okay. Pep, can you play Hired by Creed? No, we're only playing songs that I want to play.
I like the use of the up notes.
I've been getting into, because I saw them once in New York, and I got jumped at their show with terror. I've been listening to a lot of Knocked Loose recently. Like their new album, so good.
I'm not familiar with them. I'll have to check them out.
I think their vocalist has is an acquired taste. He does kind of sound like a screaming little dog. But they have the best. They have the best breakdowns. There was they did a song with Poppy recently. They were on Jimmy Kimmel and caused a bunch of stir with Facebook moms. It was great.
Oh, Poppy. Is that that girl? That's
She does all the weird videos, and she has a couple songs. She does a couple pop songs. She's been doing a lot of metal music recently, and she did a song with Knocked Loose.
Okay.
I did hear that song actually.
Yeah, the videos I was doing with Andor, those are all Knocked Loose.
No, can you play it on guitar? Do you know how to play it? I think. How does it go again?
Yeah.
I'm bad with other people's songs. There's very few songs that I can play, cover wise. I still love it's an older song, which feels weird to say, but one of my favorite riffs is still My Own Summer by Deftones. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, such a good song. Such a good riff.
Let's not turn this into a shoegaze stream.
Yeah, sorry, we're just talking about heavy music now.
Yeah. No, it's that album is something where if I'm not, sometimes I will just quote random things, and I'll have to be careful because sometimes I'm like, shut up, you don't know me. Shut up, you don't know me. Squeal like a bag. And I'm oh no, that part's not appropriate for this situation.
Yeah, man, that album and White Pony are both so good. Just they're good, just to put on in the background, even just so good.
Yeah.
Is this? I don't know if you guys can hear that.
Are we whipping out our guitars? Are we playing guitar now?
I kind of just want to experiment.
We'll grab an acoustic. Make it easy.
This should be playing.
Are we doing this?
Oh, we won't be able to play at the same time. Chase, I was saying though, something that the young kids won't know today is the joy of tuning your guitar to the dial tone of a landline.
Oh yeah, I think I did that once when someone told me.
Yeah, landline, the dial tone's an F. Yeah.
Oh my god, I cracked my knuckles. Embarrassed myself.
Okay, I'm just gonna have to turn on my pedal and turn on this. Okay. Is this
Okay.
better?
See what you got.
Does anyone know how to sing higher?
I don't know the words to
We
higher.
need to get Josh on. Listen, every band like that from the 90s sounded exactly the same to me. And I never learned the lyrics.
I love what I have done. No. This is one hell of a news segment.
Oh,
How does favorite
I didn't hear what you said.
Favor House? Is it Favor House automatic? No, it's. It's about to play.
Oh, you were thinking of Welcome Home.
God, what is that one? I forgot how Keeping Secrets goes.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, it goes like it's like this. Oh, but
Yeah, it's been so long. They were playing a festival in Atlanta, and I was like, you know what? I was really only into Coheed for their third album, and I was like, you know what? I'll stay until they play In Keeping Secrets, and then I'll leave. And then they opened with In Keeping Secrets, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll stay for the whole
right.
thing. That was pretty sick.
going home. No, actually, apparently they just dropped a new album like this past week, and apparently it's very good.
I've heard it's good. Not that I think that 4 is a bad album. I just loved the second and third album so much.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it was such a departure from like that like riffy emo pop punk kind of stuff. And I was like, it's good. It's not what I like Coheed for.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know why my guitar's not coming through.
damn it. Like they I don't know. They just had so many fat jams, you know. One thing that made me super happy the other day is I was scrolling through Instagram, which I never do, and I found our friend Victoria, or Evers, anniversary post. And in the background, I just hear... I was like, El Scorcho? Really? Like a Weezer off of Pinkerton? That was just weird. I wasn't expecting that, and it made me very, very happy.
Okay, so my guitar doesn't come through when the tuner's on. So I think it's...
To a place when blind man sings. I'm now curious if anyone is still watching the stream.
12 watching.
Well, they're better people than I am. I would have been long gone.
Okay, we're done. This is over.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Put the toys away. Sorry. This is my fault.
No, this is my fault. I chose to bring out the guitar and plug it in.
Hey, you, big star.
I was gonna try to play Tears Don't Fall. Jesus.
I'm shocked I still remember how to play that.
Great.
Oh. Ooh.
No, Master James Kenobi is still here. Spooky Kid is still here. This is deeply compelling for me. Got guitars in the chat. Scrolling on by.
I do have a question for everyone here and everyone in the chat. What's the one song that when it's on, you have to listen to it? Like you don't skip this song. If you hear it, you're listening to the whole thing.
There's a lot of songs like that. Like, narrow it down a little bit.
Just pick one and share it.
This one. Oh, let me get back.
Lately, anything from Epic the Musical? Everyone keeps talking about Epic the Musical. Should I watch Epic the Musical? Is it new? Did it just come out?
I don't know about it.
That's it. I'm watching Epic the Musical this weekend. I don't know, but I keep hearing people talking about it.
This is why I need that Enya Go SP. I don't have an acoustic to just...
Breathe in for luck. Breathe in so deep. This hearts they raise from...
I'm trying to keep up with you, but there's a delay.
Yeah.
We actually made it
always
work
listen to that.
one day. What did we do then? I think
It's like Scarlet, don't bother, Angel. I know exactly what goes on.
I think you said to just play. No, I think you muted. You just started singing. Six things we learned from the ANDOR live stream. Tony Gilroy, the showrunner, joined cast members to share favorite memories in Glimpse at Season 2. I don't know if that was on time for the stream. It was on time for me. On my end, anyway. So one song that I always, whenever it comes on, I always listen to because I always sing to it is "This Is Your Life" by Switchfoot.
Okay.
This is your life.
Yeah.
Are you who you wanna be? Do you know how to play that, Chase?
I don't.
Ooh. Starting line?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't jam at a video. So good. Nori keeps giving insights on the songs and how he composed them.
Here we go again.
I think Pepe
Two
and
separate
Chico
beds.
should do a musical wrap up after every Star Wars show. I mean, it would be extremely laggy, but. Do you know Sidewalks? I'm sorry.
No.
I think it's the classic 3 chords with.
Well, I mean, I know the song. The bridges all crumble. The water's down.
Isn't that the one that we tried to sing that one time on live?
No.
What did we do?
Well, real quick, I was gonna say the one song that I can never skip is "High and Dry" by Radiohead. High and Dry by Radiohead. "Hero" by Foo Fighters.
Wait, Hero, like.
There goes my hero. I don't know why. I can never skip that song. It just feels good every time.
Foo Fighters, I think, are a really memeable band, but I genuinely like a lot of their stuff.
You know, in the same vein,
It's hard not to.
I can't skip Nickelback.
How You Remind Me is a certified banger. I will
That is a
die
great
on that
song.
hill. I will
That is
die
a
on
great
that
song.
hill.
I do love the memed version of Photograph where they just insert the word photograph over and over again. Have you heard that? It's like, look at this photograph.
Look at this.
It's a photograph of a photograph. And in this photograph, there's just another photograph. And there's a music video of it just like, yeah, it works.
Can you play Shadow of the Day by Linkin Park?
Ooh, okay. To stop playing guitars, how do you guys feel?
I love her.
Look at this graph.
All right, great.
I love her.
She's great.
With who?
For
Emily?
the new vocalist that did From Zero.
Oh,
Emily
yeah.
Swallows?
She's great.
Yeah, the concert they did when they first debuted her was fantastic. I think, there's certain portions of her singing that is obviously emulating, but on the new songs that they did, like Emptiness Machine and the new songs in the album,
So like
I like her sound.
I heard Emptiness Machine like when they were promoting everything, and then like the day that record came out, I was like, okay, I liked Emptiness Machine, I liked Heavy as the Crown, like let's listen to it. And like it was the wildest thing. I was on a bike ride here, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get a couple laps in. I was like, you know what? Let me listen to this while I'm riding my bike, and like listen to that little intro thing. And I was like, okay. And then like Emptiness Machine with like Mike Shinoda started. And I was like, I don't know if I'm emotionally prepared to listen to this right now. Because like Linkin Park was such a like pivotal band for me growing up.
Same.
And like I was like, even having heard Emptiness Machine like a couple times before, I was like listening to it again. Like I'm about to listen to the new Linkin Park album. Like I was like, I'm not ready for this. Like celebrity deaths don't really affect me. There are two that I felt genuinely sad about. Like one was Carrie Fisher, and then Chester Bennington like really hit me really hard. Like I felt awful like hearing that news. And so like I was pleasantly surprised with From Zero, and I listened to it a couple times since it came out. It's a really good album.
And to everyone who's like, they should have just started a new band. This isn't Linkin Park. Shut up. You're not in a band, and it shows. Because when you're a band is not a band is a process. A band is a vibe, you know, and it's not about sounding exactly the same. It's about continuing the vibe and like having the same energy in the writer's room. You know, it's there's so much more to it than just like, well, I like this song, and you know, and
it's there. I think you're 100% right, because there is a feeling of like, I've been in bands where like, I don't want to say like reunion show, but like we haven't played a show in a couple of years, and like, you know, you get that message and it's like, hey dude, like, you available like on this day? And I was like, what's going on? I was like, we'd like to do a show, and like we figured we just wanted to do like, there's a benefit show, whatever. And I was like, yeah, no, I'd love to. And it's like, it's not about, even if you have like a different guitar player, a different drummer, a different whatever, a different vocalist, it's just like, I'm in a room with people I've been in a room with for, you know, thousands of times in practice, and then like you play a show, and it's like you're playing the shows you played, playing like playing the songs, you know, playing a new song, you know, just songs you wrote 10 years ago. And it's just like, there is a feeling that like, again, if you haven't ever been in a band, like that feeling of like,
can't explain it,
getting on stage, like call it nostalgia, but it's just like there's an energy to like playing a song where it's like, I remember like, you know, 25 kids in some person's basement like piling on top of each other to sing like one line out of a song that you wrote, and then you're getting to do that again. Like, it's an incredible,
or playing like a lead part
feeling.
And then like your drummer, your best friend drummer, who you've only practiced like twice, plays a completely different song, and you're like, oh crap.
No, so me and my
bonus,
bassist were,
but we're not skipping the Andor season 1 talk. We're just
okay.
Let's keep this in bonus for now.
Me and my bassist were my best friends. So my major band growing up, we were called Scenic Rearview. It was 3 of us. It was me, my sister, and my best friend. We played all over Sacramento area. But like, it's a family, really, more than anything else.
Yeah.
Like, it's people that you've been locked in a stinky ass garage for hours and hours, doing something over and over again. And so like, I could shoot Jake a glance, and then in 30 seconds start playing something, and he starts on time with me, and you can't just do that, you know what I mean? And even if I find someone that can play every note that he does exactly, it's not playing with him. It's not the same. It's not going to sound the same. It's not going to feel the same. And so when Mike Shinoda was talking on an interview, it was like we were practicing with different people, and you know, the one thing I didn't want is a sound alike. I didn't want to replace Chester. I wasn't looking for a Chester replacement. But you know, when they played with Emily, she felt like someone who belonged in the band, meaning her vibe, the writing process. Because the other thing is, lead singers don't write everything. I don't know if you guys know this.
They're usually the last part.
Yeah, you know, I was a
Song
drummer
comes
and I wrote.
first.
Yeah, it's there's so much more to it.
Yeah,
Torres
like,
in the chat says, "Hello, my dear friends. Hope everyone is having a great night. We're having a great night. We've actually kind of like
We've derailed.
we've derailed.
Yeah.
We're on our second to last segment, but we're gonna shoot back to our main segment.
We can go back there any time. I'm stepping off my soapbox.
Well, I mean, just to provide an example, like Howard Jones, he the way he sings for Kill Switch is very different from the way he sings with Light the Torch. And I feel like that's a great example of like a singer inhabiting the band's vibe versus the band kind of inheriting a singer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Mike Shinoda does Fort Minor, and Fort Minor doesn't sound like Linkin Park.
yeah. Fort
You
Minor's
know?
great, but it's not
Yeah.
Linkin Park, and it's not supposed to be Linkin Park. It's like it is funny. Like people are like, oh, they should start a new band. Like they've all started new bands. Like
Sorry, Kenny.
Kenny, I did see you when you left. I mean, if you're gonna join the call, you should probably say something in chat. Maybe you did. I missed it.
but yeah, like
Oh, he did.
there's something like I know that there's bands out there that they will cycle through members. Like, you know, if you go on like any band that has like, it's big enough to have a Wikipedia page, and you'll see like the graphs of like who was in the band when. Like some of those graphs get really convoluted, and I'm like, yeah, if it works for some people, great. But there's other bands where it's just like there is a core group of people, and it does not work without them. Like it is not that band without these specific people. And it's like
just a truth of the matter that bands often go through members like
Yeah.
clockwork.
yeah,
I mean, Further Seems Forever. Jason Gleason is their best lead singer. I Will Die on That Hill. Sorry, Chris Carrabba, but it ain't you, and it ain't the third guy for goddamn sure.
well, it's like there's it's so funny because like there's so many of those bands where it was like one of the highlights was like at least within the scene, a big name, like when you had the Falcon, which was people from like Lawrence Arms and Alkaline Trio playing and like doing that first record, and then like when they actually tour, it's just random people.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, the Lawrence Arms and Alkaline Trio are busy doing big global tours. They don't have time to do their little side project.
The Sound of Animals Fighting. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
The one thing I will point to,
Funny thing is,
just to kind of paint this picture of like the band is everyone, is that Paramore slowly became Hayley Williams when everyone left.
Yeah, I know that there's a lot of mixed messaging around the history of Paramore, and like there was like those two brothers that were like kind of the start of Paramore, and when Hayley came along, like that drastically shifted the mentality of the band. And I think the one thing I will say about Hayley Williams that is so different from every, I'm just going to say pop/rock vocalist, is that she does not feel that way. She has never felt that Paramore is Hayley Williams. Like she has like the shirt that says Paramore is a band that she wears on multiple like tours and stuff like that. Because I think the thing that I've seen over the years is as Paramore has shifted members and shifted sounds and themes, is that the people in Paramore, she has a very deep connection with. It's not about can you play guitar the way that we played guitar when we wrote Riot. Like she doesn't care about that.
which another thing a lot of people seem to forget is that there are studio musicians, and those studio musicians are some of the most technically proficient people in the world.
Yeah.
And often they don't belong in your favorite band.
Well, like,
they can fill in, but
I think what people fail to realize is that if you look at bands that are at the size of Paramore, the size of like the Killers or something like that, is you have the core group, right? You have your guitar player, your drummer, your bass player, your vocalist, and like a keyboard player maybe. There are often musicians backstage playing the song through amplifiers the way you're expecting to hear it, and that they can kind of play along with that. on stage, making moves, having energy, and not making a mistake. Like you can often see like live performances. You will see someone backstage behind amps playing your favorite songs. Like that's how a lot of studio musicians get live work, is they are like the backing band for the main band. Like I guarantee you
does it just out in open.
Yeah. Like I guarantee you there is a guitar player backstage and a bass player backstage playing the songs from Riot. Like just so that the sound is perfect.
Yeah, they are well hydrated and they're sitting down in the
yes, yes, they are sitting down. They're not using a guitar strap. They're not doing flips. They're not like jumping and dancing with Haley or with Brendan Urie or Pete Wentz and Patrick Stump. Like that's not happening. Like it's a production at some point, and you got to appreciate that art as well. But like the reason that those bands sound so good live, like dude, if you go watch an AFI concert from the 90s versus an AFI concert today,
yeah,
like wildly different, because they have click tracks, they have backing tracks, they have either backstage musicians. Like they're not a garage punk band anymore.
Slash is like my all-time favorite guitarist, but like the 2003 November Rain, he is just kind of high. And he is like, he's ringing strings and his play is sloppy during the solo. But like, you know, when he's sitting down for an interview and he's showing off his chops, he's like one of the best guitarists. But like in a live setting, that stuff happens.
Yeah.
You know?
That was why Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I love the fact that Heart, specifically for the intro to Crazy on You, which I've tried to learn how to play that intro. It is insane. I found out she never plays the same intro. She just makes it up every show. But they're always as complex and insane. She's incredible. But yeah.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite bands that I had the most respect for, was Dillinger Escape Plan. Because they were so committed to DIY ethics in their band, despite like how insanely huge they got.
DEI?
Dillinger is DIY. Oh yeah, but like they used cheap instruments because they broke them all the time. They were always going crazy on stage, climbing on stuff, jumping around, running into the crowd. And they were playing insanely complicated riffs, like switching time signatures nonstop, but they had an energy like you couldn't believe. And like they were dead set on no click tracks, no backing tracks, no high-end production. Like people come to see Dillinger Escape Plan to see the craziest show of their lives. We're going to deliver that every time. And like one of the reasons they like broke up / took a hiatus was it's like, we're getting old and we're not going to be able to deliver the thing that people want to see every time they see us, because a lot of these songs we wrote when we were 19 and we're getting close to 40, and we can't hang upside down off of rafters and play in like 11/8 time anymore.
Yeah, there's a band called Terra Mellows that is, I don't know if you've ever heard, but they started out local and we'd see them. One time the drummer flew over the drum set and I have no idea how.
And they were still playing the drums?
Amazing stuff. But I would still say Story of the Year takes the cake for like the wildest people on stage. Or as I first saw them, Big Blue Monkey, when they're running around doing backflips off of their amps and stuff like that, and they were actually playing. So at times it sounded like garbage, but but it was my garbage.
Speaking of sounding like garbage, I love the people who are like getting into emo music today, and like when we were young fest going on, people are like, why does Taking Back Sunday sound like crap live? And I'm like, they have always sounded like crap live.
Yeah,
they are a studio band.
Kenny says it's like Dave Grohl. Him playing in Nirvana sounds is completely different than him in Foo Fighters. I mean, he is on a different instrument, but you're very true. I just love the fact that that Foo Fighters is half Nirvana and half Sunny Day Real Estate. It's just so weird that's who it is. And I was always like, how come Sunny Day Real Estate doesn't come back? And you're like, oh, they're megastars in Foo Fighters. I didn't realize that. Damn.
Yeah.
Blink 182 is definitely awful live.
I remember it was funny because like there's an unhealthy, I don't want to say unhealthy, there is a surprising amount of big name artists where if you dig deep enough, a lot of those artists, especially like West Coast artists, they were in a ska band at one point.
I was in a ska band at one point.
I was in a ska band. I was in multiple ska bands, but like it's funny because like there's like some demo track from like the Killers before they got big. Like a couple of those guys were in ska bands.
I wasn't, but our bass player could also play the sax.
That's great. I love hearing it. I love more bands need more horns. But yeah, like the Slapstick Family Tree, if you've ever looked it up, is fucking hilarious. Because it's just a bunch of like bigger bands that all started around like West Coast, like LA ska music.
Yeah. The weirdest thing to me was finding out that it was seeing the guest that they had on Yo Gabba Gabba.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Welcome back to DYAD and the Force, guys. So let's go back to our main segment here. I mean, listen, we're not strangers to derailment. I mean, I think when the conversation is good, it's gonna get going, and you know, y'all are appreciative of the music talk, so we're gonna talk some music. But let me switch scenes here. There was recently a live stream that Tony Gilroy did for the Andor season 1. I want to go through this article with the 6 things that we learned from the live stream, and the first one is Tony Gilroy's favorite scene from season 1 is actually when Cyril meets the chief at Morlana 1. And this is a very surprising scene for me because like when I first saw this, I thought it was a very normal scene, and it didn't really jump out at me. You know, because then we don't ever see Chief Hein again.
I mean, for me, this kind of was a standout because it was like it gave so much character to Cyril Karn in such a short period of time. With just this one conversation, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean the fact that he tailored his own uniform, that in and of itself tells us that, like, you know, he's hard up for the Empire, for the service, for this job, for this role, but he's also not using regulation uniform, so he's actually rebellious in that way, in his pursuit of being the best of what he is.
I was rewatching episode 1 the other day, and I was thinking, I was like, you know, it's crazy if Cyril would have just listened to his boss, the rebellion would have shifted and changed dramatically. Like, it is a very weird, like, butterfly effect. If he would have just like let this be swept under the rug, like the Death Star plans would have never been gotten by the rebellion. And like,
Yeah.
It would have been different, but there's something else we learn later on. You know, let me look at this. I just watched the whole live thing. I didn't look at the 6 things.
I mean, have that on stream.
I will say the first thing I learned is something I already knew, but Audra Arjona is like the most beautiful woman on the planet, and I swear to God, I was like, how
is like seeing an angel.
How are we the same species? Like, what the hell?
Yes. And at that time, we didn't know her as Bix, did we?
No. we saw her.
Morbius.
It's a doctor in Morbius, yeah, at the premiere.
And even then, I was like, man, she is so beautiful. But then, like, we found out she was Bix, and then, like, it's no secret. Both of us was like, oh, Bix is our wife.
Okay, so the thing I was gonna say is covered in the number 3 thing here, so we'll get there.
Young says we aren't. She is a goddess among us, unworthy mortals. True.
It's true. It is true.
Okay,
like just her in the live stream when she joined the call, I was like, "Is that the sun?" I don't. Did you?
I woke up like this.
No, let me. I mean, keep talking, huh?
Young says she's also still mine. No, the fuck she ain't. So the number 2 thing we learned is Adriana has a Bix tattoo. So it's it's wonderful that Star Wars impacts real fans in this way.
Yeah.
She says that I'd never done anything like this before. It really challenged me as an actor. And when she was talking about season 2 and filming on the last day, she couldn't comprehend that she wasn't going to be her again. So, I mean, what better way than just get a tattoo of yourself on yourself?
It's cool though. It's the only one of her characters that she, has tattooed, which I assumed, probably not the Doctor from Morbius. I get that, but still, it's great to see that they carry these things with us. That Star Wars is a special place. It's a special universe. They carry it forward.
I publicly Googled Adriana for you guys to see, just so you guys can see it. I can.
No, I was gonna.
Money, right? Huh? Who?
Sorry, I didn't see what image you brought up, but I was literally grabbing her from the live, just to show you how absurd it is. Because this is just like on a Zoom call.
I mean, I literally Googled her on the stream. Okay.
From the Zoom call?
I had not seen this before. And it's just one of those things where Choco and I operate on the same wavelength. I'm just like, really? The fuck? So hold on. I'm just gonna name this one Adria default settings.
That means he's saving it for science.
Okay. Not that one. Oh, I have to add a new one.
But yeah, in preparation, I watched the whole live, like it was an hour long. And she's the first guest, and she shows up, and I was like, "What?" Like I had to rewind it because I couldn't understand words for a hot minute.
All right, this is her joining the live for the first time.
Look, how?
I was thinking, I'm expecting a lot of people to not make it to the end of season 2 of Andor, but if Bix and Brasso don't make it, I am not prepared for that.
They better make it.
I think
They really need
I think
to.
they will. I think what she's saying about never playing her again is because season 2 is the final season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I share your sentiment. They better not. You know what I mean?
And
I'm just looking at this picture.
That's what, like she showed up, and I was like, it was like looking to the sun.
Yeah, she has a deeply bright and infectious smile.
Also, I need Brasso to come to a to a celebration or something like that, because I need a hug from that dude.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
He is the most huggable person that has ever been born.
Where's Kenpin Shiklop? In your head, rent free, Malik.
He's out being the #1 vaporator salesman. All right, you can't.
I have a vaporator. All right, the third thing that they learned. What's an accelerationist?
Yeah, so that was the thing I was going to say. You know, obviously, if Cyril didn't do what he did, then things would turn out very, very differently. But that's the thing I love about Luthen Rail is he is an accelerationist. And I like seeing there's so many different types of rebellion. And we especially get that in the new book, you know, Reign of the Empire. But as an accelerist, he understands that in order to make the galaxy act, he essentially will throw gasoline onto the conflict. Because he knows it'll need to accelerate. You know, if people rise up too slowly, then they will be systematically stamped out. He needs everyone to rise up together. And it's actually a really scary thought because it makes him a very dangerous person. But they made it clear, though, that we are going to get a lot more of him and find out who he was before all this. And I'm just excited because I thought Luthen was just an incredible character.
Yeah, Luthen is one of my standout characters from season 1 for sure. Like, I didn't expect to like him so much from like the stuff that we saw of him during the lead up to Andor season 1. But now we have
Cassian Andor.
the mainstay,
and seeing him get into character and put on his wig and like he walks different, has a different I know, he's fantastic.
All right, the fourth thing, Genevieve O'Reilly still can't get over a conversation that hangs over season 2. This was the conversation between her and Tacoma. She said it was a juicy scene you really don't get in television. What you have to reveal and what you have to hide all at once is the trick. That's my job at hand. The dexterity of that is such a gift to give an actor. There's no movement. There's nothing to hide behind. It's really relying on the actors and the interplay between the actors. And we drew attention to this scene in particular when we were first reacting to it. And definitely a highlight scene for sure. Because what was the quote that she said in that scene? You know, if you can't see the knife at your throat if you are something. I forget the quote. But it was very cool.
I can't remember the quote, but to me, so there's a thing that I hate in films, and J.J. Abrams does this a lot in his films, where his characters are talking and they're about to hit a big epiphany. Like the conversation is reaching a crescendo, and whatever the result of this conversation is likely going to change the dynamic of the people, in the room, right? And just when it gets to that point, someone runs in, they're like, "We gotta run!" Or like something explodes, and then they just run away. And so he doesn't have to write that part, and they don't have to act that part, And then like later, whatever that was just kind of resolved. And that it drives me crazy. And this scene was the exact opposite of that, where, again, like she says, there's nothing to hide behind. There's nothing. They're not cutting. This is a conversation that they're having, where they're having, two different conversations at the same time with their body language and inflection, and the words that they're saying, so while they're having two conversations and jousting, they're telling us more information about them. It was subtle, it was beautiful, it was complex, and it was perfect.
I show you the stone in my hand. You miss the knife at your throat. Chase, do you have anything to say about any of this?
Yeah, like sorry, I was typing an email. I was totally distracted. Sorry. But no, like I'm the one thing that has me the most excited for season 2 is just outside of Cassian is Mon Mothma and all the stuff kind of hanging over that. Like that has I want the I think I've told you guys I want the frame of her at the wedding dancing. Like I want that perfect 21:9 ratio framed just to hang over a TV so bad. I want to find someone that can get me a print of that and just have that framed like a really elegant frame because it just looks so good.
Number 5 is just how did Melshi get to Narkina 5? Duncan Powell and Tony Gilroy have their own theories. Powell just says that Melshi is not a rule follower. He doesn't like being told what to do, and he's not a great believer in this idea of the Empire. Melshi simply refused to accept what someone told him or asked him to do. He was convicted of skepticism. How did he get there?
Yeah, I mean it's just not something they wrote. You know, he was basically giving him the opportunity to make it up live there, and that's all. The actor who plays Melshi came up
But
with.
I also
Duncan
like how
Powell.
simplistic it is. You know, like it's like you can have somebody at Narkina 5 who simply just disagreed with an imperial officer.
I mean, you could have that today in the United States of America. It's actually not uncommon right now. So, yeah.
I like that Mask of Fear is kind of going into that a little bit, where it's just like even like within like the 2 weeks after Revenge of the Sith happens, like the paranoia is already setting in, especially with the senators and like the delegation of 2000. It's just like people are just worried about if I say the wrong thing, are people gonna come after me? And it's yeah, like what you said about it being in the U.S. It's a scary time that like people are being arrested for peacefully protesting right now, and we have a guy who was protested and is threatening to be deported when he's a citizen. So it's kind of crazy to think about. Yeah, it's kind of crazy that we don't even know what he said that was so wrong that all of this was required. And it's weird the parallels that I think Tony Gilroy has been putting into Andor since season 1 is obviously going to be putting a lot more into season 2. So
Well,
For sure.
I mean that is so. I mean, we kind of mentioned it last week, but I want to push back against it. It's not that he's putting parallels to now in. It's he's showing how dictatorship form, and we're just seeing it happen. You know what I mean? It's not. They're not pointing fingers. Like, look at that. You should be like, oh, there is a connection. I should be worried, but
Yeah.
but to give everyone at least. I don't know, a semblance of feeling better is just this section from Nemec's manifesto, which is just always poignant. And it's, remember this, the imperial need for control is so desperate because it's so unnatural. Tyranny requires constant effort. It breaks, it leaks. Authority is brittle. Oppression is the mask of fear.
yeah. And it is wild. Like obviously Alexander Freed wrote Mask of Fear like over a year ago, probably at this point, like when he finished it, and just how hard it hits to everything going on. Like it just feels like every other paragraph you're like, oh god, that's happening right now. Oh god, there's another one. It's rough. It's like it's kind of rough to read in like this kind of climate.
Yep. Life imitates art. Art warns of history. History happens because people are dumb.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, my wife and I have like a certain thing, and if this thing happens, we're gonna try to get out of the country.
Haley and I have
That's
talked
real.
about a possible exit strategy to Vancouver if need be.
Can we stay with you?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I mean,
The couple's
Vancouver's on the
house.
list. Johnny's there for sure.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, well, we could live with Johnny, or we could live with Nick and the wise guy. You know, we'll just move in
Live
with
with
Nick's
Johnny.
family.
And we can participate in the constant egging of Chet's house.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God, what if he bought a Cybertruck? We could decorate his Cybertruck for him.
Cybertruck.
Rendered services free. Number 6, even Gilroy was stunned by the way Rogue One served as a surprise inspiration for one scene. I actually didn't like notice this when we first watched this in Andor season 1, which essentially is the scene with I think Melshi and Andor.
Yeah, the same with Moshi and Andor, and he was even noticing like even the way they shot the horizon in the background, and like the framing and stuff of it was very much inspired by it. But it was just something that Tony Gilroy wasn't specifically there for. It was something that they were sending him dailies, and you know, he wakes up in the morning, grabs his coffee, and goes to the dailies, and he was like, "Oh my god!"
Dailies, they don't plan anything. This is all just happening like at the filmmaker's whims.
Yeah, they improvise everything. They go on Reddit, they go on Saltier Than Crate and be like, okay, they don't like this, they want this, so we'll do this, and we just have to make it woke, and that's how we make a Star Wars.
Which is kind of contradictory to the Chud's reasoning as to why Kathleen Kennedy ruins things. Because if they don't plan and they don't send dailies, how does Kathy know what's going on to the point where she needs to ruin it? You know what I mean?
So,
Or unless
I
she's
can't
on
remember
set every single day of every hour and she's on the shot list.
I think it was I got a TikTok of Hassan, and he was like, my favorite thing to do in a debate with anyone is say, wow, that's really interesting. Could you elaborate further? And it's like, if the person's like coming from a legitimate place, they probably have no issue elaborating further. But when it's like a regurgitated talking point, or it's just, you know, coming out of nowhere and nonsense, and it's not founded in reality, they cannot elaborate further.
I'm pretty sure you guys saw Sam Cedar on Jubilee.
Unfortunately.
So, oh wait, no, sorry, wrong call out. Destiny was on a show with like, you know, it's kind of like Jubilee.
I don't like Destiny.
Well, I don't.
Go ahead.
But the way he expresses this idea is legitimately a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in an effort to sway somebody from their whole open borders cliff edge. Right, they're arguing against. They want to get rid of all of the illegals and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Destiny says, "Okay, I'll meet you halfway. What if we reformed the pathway to citizenship, eliminated the 26-year wait list, and made it even easier for people to become legal, so that we can get rid of illegals?" And the guy, like, through his cognitive dissonance, agreed. He's like, "Well, yeah, I mean, Trump is all about removing red tape, bureaucracy, and wait times." I'm like, "Great. So then, would you be in support of this?" And the guy's like, "No." And I'm just like, "Whoa, what?"
That's because it's not about removing illegals. It's about removing brown people.
Yeah,
we all know this.
I think it's, and the sad thing is I think for a lot of people it's very subconscious. I think that if you genuinely talk to someone with that mentality, in the forefront of their mind, that's not what they think. It's not like that they're like, man, those non-whites, I can't stand them. But it's like, it's just in the back of their mind. And so all of their logic kind of circles back to the back of their mind, and it has to connect there And then when you kind of press them on it, they're just like, well, no, but yeah, but no, but yeah. And it's like,
Yeah, it's a mental inclination, right? And
Yeah.
just like an incline, it's going to roll to that conclusion, whether they're aware that the incline is there or not. You know, a lot of them is, I'm afraid that the culture that I grew up in is going to go away.
yeah. It's kind of off topic, but I do have like a friends only draft on TikTok where I kind of talk about like how like a lot of left leaning like pop culture creators, is the best way to put it, especially like women and people of color, like unintentionally get used as right wing propaganda. Like if you go on the internet and say that the sequels suck, or you go on the internet and say that Marvel's not any good anymore, or that video games aren't any good anymore, like that gets circulated a lot in like alt-right pipeline stuff, because like the way that works isn't just like, hey, have you thought about joining the KKK today? It's like, it's a slow process where they kind of like, we're not racist. Look at this person who's not white that agrees with us, or look at this woman that agrees with us. We're not sexist. Look at this person who's, you know, transgender and they agree with us. See, we're not transphobic. And then that opens the door a lot of times, because it'll be like, yeah, it's like, yeah, I don't like Marvel anymore. I don't like Star Wars anymore. And it's like, see, look at this stuff. We're not making it up. And I think it's really sad, because like a lot of that content gets circulated that way for nefarious means. And it's like, it means that a lot of people can't express their views because it's going to get used in a way they don't agree with.
It's like the response that I like to give when people are like, I'm not racist, I have a black friend. And I'm like,
yep.
But look at all the other black people you hate.
Yeah.
Just because you have that one friend doesn't mean.
And I think it's a lot of those things. It's like, if like, you know, that whole like, I have a black friend, I have a Hispanic friend, I have an Asian friend, whatever. It's just like, yeah, if they saw every single message and text message and thing you shared on Instagram, would they still be your friend? You know, type thing. And it's just like,
yeah, well, I mean, just
quieter and quieter as the stream goes on. I've been fiddling with my levels. I don't know where it's at now.
you sound fine.
Okay.
But yeah, it's frustrating, because like you don't want to police people's content. You don't want to tell people that they're doing something wrong or that they can't criticize anything. But there is kind of like this balancing act of like, is what you're doing hurting communities without you knowing? Oh, you're quiet. So says Haley.
Hi, Haley.
So I'm quiet to Choco, right?
You're a little bit quieter than you normally are, but I wouldn't say that you are quiet to me.
But then now I'm quiet to Haley.
Choco's louder than you are. I also have myself in my headphones, so I don't know how I sound.
And I sound fine to myself on that.
Yeah, I sound like I'm the one that's super loud in my headphones.
I have to make myself super loud, because like last time we were on stream, Choco said I was quiet, and so I had to raise my levels, and now I'm just kind of like shouting at myself. But I'm quiet.
Yeah, but I think if you guys talk next to each other, I can kind of get a gauge of.
Well, I mean, we are pretty much about to wrap up, so I think
Right.
we can.
I can do this.
We can play around with it afterwards.
How do I sound now? I mean, I'm just kind of like artificially adding gain on the OBS side, so I don't have to get louder myself.
I think Choco's still a little louder than you are, but you know.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
change anything in terms of my input to the call.
Oh, okay.
I changed it on OBS for the stream.
But
Oh, you mean raising the volume
Volume,
of the entire stream?
yeah.
Gotcha.
yeah, volume aside, it is weird. It's such a weird time to kind of be alive, because like my driver's license has an X on it in gender, and I'm like, am I marking myself? That's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My
Like,
driver's
you know what's a
license
weird
has a brown
you know what's a
face
weird
on
thought?
it. Sorry.
You know what's a weird thought that occurs to me? There's this one TikTok account that I'll see people stitch or whatever, and it's like this MAGA chick who like sings songs with the lip snarl thing. I don't know if you've seen her. People just make fun of her and call her Snarl Sparkly and stuff.
That's crazy.
Well, okay. I mean, but the videos get like millions of views and all this stuff, and it just, I know that in 10 years, and 20 years, and 30 years, in history class, people are going to watch her videos and be like, "That was weird." You know what I mean? Like this is it's weird because it's not unprecedented time, but it is extremely documented times.
Yeah.
And I'm curious how that will play out. Or is it not documented times? Because most of it is documented digitally, which could potentially be wiped. I don't know, but does the data ever really go away? I don't know. There's a lot.
Yeah, it's weird. You know, there was do you know those Wired like Ask an Expert series videos that they'll do?
Yeah.
They did one I think it was like either a couple days ago or last week, where they had a historian who has studied dictators and fascist regimes. Like that was her area of expertise, and she kind of broke down some of this stuff that like America is going through right now. And she's like, why a lot of people don't see it is because it's so different and it's unprecedented. What we're seeing is it's that you have someone like the current administration is very much follows the laws of authoritarianism, but not dictatorship, and doesn't quite follow the laws of fascism to a T, but it follows a couple things. And so they're very much like skirting this line very carefully. And it's like, yes, there's all these telltale signs of what they're doing that is like, yep, this is what is starting. But then there's these other things that they do that they're so different, like how they've, managed to get a chokehold on social media, and how like the industries that they control, like bringing up the fact that like they have all these policies against electric vehicles. Meanwhile, the person who's calling a lot of these shots owns the largest electric vehicle corporation in the world.
Yeah,
And
he's also
yeah.
part of the government efficiency, but also his companies are built on being subsidized by the government.
Yeah, and
It's a massive conflict of interest.
yeah, so it's very weird. I recommend watching it because it's like 30 minutes. It's one of the longer ones they've done, and she does a very good job of breaking everything down. And she talked about like the history of like proto-fascism before Mussolini, and like all the dictators, like the dictators we have today, that like not in the U.S. but like other places around the world. And it's just like it's like when you look at Xi Jinping and you try to compare him to Joseph Stalin, you can't, because the way the world works today is so wildly different. But
If you could send me a link to that, I would be grateful.
yeah,
I'll make sure to have a glass of wine before I watch it, though.
yeah,
It's like MTG saying, if you think the gas prices are high now, just wait until you're forced to drive an electric vehicle. And I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm driving.
I love
and
Tesla.
I'm driving one, and I am not worried about the gas prices.
But yeah, I know that I've seen a lot of Beth Mara J Skywalker has been posting a lot of stuff that's like more parallels, and it inspired me to do a lot of parallels from like Star Wars to history to like like World War II history, because like one of the things that for me with especially the original trilogy is like, yes, George Lucas very much modeled it after the Vietnam War, but a lot of the imagery comes from the fascist regimes of World War II, and there's so much to cover there and how they do that. And it's like down to pre-more security and how they dress and stuff like that, and how it's, I don't know what we can and cannot say on TikTok, but it's very reminiscent of a very specific subset group within 1930s Germany. That wasn't part of the Reich. It was like, when you research it, it's just disgusting. But
yeah,
don't try to make Star Wars political. You know, like things. It wasn't like this 10, 20 years ago, and you're like, yeah,
they just don't like the politics.
No, but
it's not politics when it doesn't line up with their politics. Yeah. That's the issue.
I think the issue is different. It's different than that. The difference is that the right is moving so far to the right that they no longer align, and so it becomes more obvious. You know, whether you were left or right, if you went back to the 1980s, if you had a billionaire openly buy an election, go to the inauguration, and throw up a Nazi salute, they would be mad. Everyone would be mad, right? That would be normal. We're not there anymore. You know what I mean? That was acceptable. It's not that the politics weren't there. It's just that the further they move right, the further they are from what the good guys are.
Well, I mean, I'm specifically referring to the notion of, you know, get politics out of Star Wars. That sentiment is specifically only the politics that they don't agree with.
Yeah.
Right. I think one of the other things that's interesting, and I think it very much largely falls into Star Wars, but it's other things as well. It's music, it's games, it's movies, TV shows, is that I do think that Gen Z, by and large, does not like things. Like, it is very trendy to not like things. Like, the obsession of not seeming cringe with Gen Z gets in the way of enjoyment. So when you look at something like The Acolyte, and when you have moments of The Acolyte that I have no problem agreeing that, like, I don't think were good, like there were dialogue choices, or at least like it felt like they'd used the wrong take, where like the editing wasn't good or it came off campy, they cannot handle that. Like, if they like it, it's going to be cringe, and they can't look cringe to their friends, and so they have to join these hate trains. And I do think the leaning to political right that Gen Z is kind of facing also affects how they view things like Star Wars, when since day one, 1977, there were very large, it's hard to say, left-leaning themes, especially for the late 70s, because the late 70s leftist movements look very different than they look today. But like, when you do that and then you look at the prequels, and George Lucas very, very openly was like, this is about George Bush and Dick Cheney. Like, that's what the prequels are about. Clearly an anti-right-leaning political sentiment from George Lucas, and Disney, while obviously doesn't want to, as a giant corporation, doesn't want to alienate 50% of their audience, they still have left progressive leanings. Disney will never produce a movie about Ronald Reagan or George Bush. That's not happening. They will always have stories about inclusivity. They will always have stories about doing good in the world. And that's just how it's going to be. They're a progressive company in the way they produce media. There will be limitations to that, obviously, but it just doesn't line up with how Gen Z views a lot of the world, unfortunately. And that's why you get stuff like the Acolyte review bombings. You get people calling everything woke and saying that Kenobi ruins everything because they are not willing to engage with things the way that I think a lot of other people are.
Yeah, I know, and constant negativity like that, just to me, is just anti-intellectual. I mean, half the complaints that you hear are things that could be levied on anything. You can't tell what they are talking about by the complaint, and that's
right.
But cringe is life. Listen, embrace
be cringe. Be cringe.
Cringe is the best thing you can be. Cringe is you. Cringe is me. Cringe is us. Cringe is family.
What is it again? I am what I am. I'm Popeye.
I am cringe.
I mean, listen. You know what marriage is? It's trying to find someone that matches your cringe. You know.
When Haley and I are by ourselves, I am the most annoying, cringiest motherfucker you could imagine.
So there's also another huge thing that happened this week that is quite telling when it comes to things that dealing with this subject. But someone was charged with child sexual abuse, and it wasn't a gay person. It wasn't LGBTQIA+. Nope, it was a pastor in Texas.
I was hoping you were going to say Star Wars Theory.
Ex Donald Trump advisor Robert Preston Morris
Oh my goodness, the kitty.
was charged in Osage County with child sexual abuse. So we talk about protecting children, and the line ends with not with guns, because we can't do anything with guns to protect children. And when it comes to protecting children from any like queer ideas, we gotta protect them from them. But we certainly can't protect them from freaking religious figures that have historically abused children for centuries, I'd imagine.
Yeah, we don't have data to back up anything from like the 19th century regarding that, but it feels very much like it's not a new thing.
Yes.
Especially with the way like certain customs were back in the day, at least that we know of. Like
they're like, yeah, we already got a process for that.
You can
why?
You can connect the dots.
Anyways, not to end things on a sour note, next week we'll be joined by Aaron, That Space, still thinking about Cal Kestis, Elizabeth, Mara J. Skywalker, and we'll be talking about Rogue One and, of course, Andor Season 1 again, just in more depth, because Aaron specifically, quote-unquote, has a lot to say. So we'll be joined by them. It's going to be a stacked house next week, so be sure to join us, 5 p.m. Pacific on Friday. And, of course, Chase, you're always welcome to call in. You know, your call-ins are always insightful.
I might do that next week. I will let you know next week. That may be a maybe a not. I can go on and on and on about Andor and Rogue One, and Mask of Fear, and I should be done with Mask of Fear by next Friday. So
Aaron still hasn't read it, so we're still on the edge of our tippy toes when it comes to that subject.
DM Aaron and tell them stop what you're doing.
It's on there.
Stop what you're doing. You need to finish it so we can all talk about it.
This is your life now.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm watching you.
I'll suggest it. Jaybird says Palpatine's view on the age of consent are wild. Yeah, but no one seems to know or accept or comprehend that he's the one that made Padawans join the war.
Speaking of Mask of Fear and Palpatine, there was one line. I don't know the line. I've been audiobooking it, so I didn't tab it. There is a line when Mon Mothma is trying to get votes to pass the bill that she is proposing, and the votes don't go through. And she receives a message from one of the senators, and he was basically said, "You are asking me to pass a vote against the person who ended the war that saved my system. No matter what I do or say, myself and my people will always view him as a hero because of what he did." And to me, that stuck out because it felt very Richard Nixon. Because, the one thing that people, before Watergate, the thing that people held on to Nixon was he pulled out of Vietnam. And he saved the lives of Americans who were, being, they were cattle to the slaughter, essentially, with that war. And he was a hero to so many people until Watergate. And it's just like, it was just one of those things of, it's just like, I love what Alexander Freed does with, I don't want to say humanizing, but adding perspective to the Empire and why people join/stay.
Yeah, it's the insight that he adds to those to these characters is the same thing as if you were to truly listen to a Trump supporter. And I'm not talking about like MAGA, like those
Right, no.
guys, but like the people that genuinely thought that he was a good choice and had reservations about Harris. Like, you know, you listen to these people and they will have legitimate, you know, grievances, but
your average middle-aged middle-class white male who supported Trump will probably have a handful of bullet points that you will have a hard time like disagreeing with, especially, you know, it's like, hey, like, you know, from 2016 to 2020, like, you know, I was doing really well because of certain policies. Like, that's there's no debating some stuff like that. But it's also like when you kind of zoom out and look at a bigger picture, it's like, okay, now you start to see where this whole thing falls apart. But it's just like, look, my dad, most people's who grew up white, who have dads who voted for Trump, like, are not going to sit there and tell you like, I voted for Trump to get the brown people out. That's not the main reason people voted for Trump. Like, yes, those people exist 100%, but most people voted for like fucking 68% of the country voted for Trump for policy reasons. And it's just like they view Trump as a hero, even though he's not. I mean, if you look at these fucking town halls going on, people are screaming at him.
yeah, I mean, a lot of
these people are like,
we're in the find out stage. We're 100% in the find out stage.
What he's going to do is going to benefit me and my family.
Yes.
Even though it's going to be worse for a lot of other people, it won't affect me.
Right.
It'll affect me positively, and that's where it goes. And then
they don't understand the ripple effect is that, okay, it doesn't affect you today, but it will affect someone down the line, and how they are affected. Like, we are all in a societal ecosystem. Like, the effects of other people will affect you.
My brother was just here when we were filming, and he's like, you know, I bought Tesla stock, you know, before all this shit happened, and now that all this shit is happening, he's lost $18,000 from his retirement.
Yeah.
And my parents, who are supporters of Trump, they're like, well, I hope it gets better. I'm like, there's no getting better from this. Tesla is fucked. Like, the public image.
Tell that to GameStop.
Like, there's a public image crisis for Tesla, and like, I read some articles that the board might oust him, Musk, as the CEO, but I think it's just done.
Well, there's so many people, because they did these like crazy payment plans for people to get like the Model XYS, whatever the really inexpensive model was, is that
3?
Sure. That like the contract for these vehicles, like, they are like 100% locked in. Like, they can't sell them, they can't release them, they can't bring them back to the dealership. They are locked. So the people who like want to get rid of their Teslas, and because of the contract they signed with Tesla, they are stuck with them, and they're like, I don't want this car anymore. I feel gross driving it around now, and they can't get rid of them. And they try, you know, even if they want to sell them.
There's an easy way to get rid of them here in California, and that's called lemon law.
In Seattle too.
Oh, you just drive it to shit, and then like have them constantly repair it, and then like, nah, we can't do this anymore.
I did the other day see one that had a Mazda logo on there, and I was like,
that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
I see what you're doing. No, it's yeah. I mean, this everything is broken. I'm just hoping though that Tesla stock gets driven so far into the ground that he gets called because he purchased Twitter against Tesla stock, and that's falling like a stone. And so it would be hilarious if he also loses Twitter.
to bring it back to Star Wars, I would love like 2 or 3 years from now to get a book about like the fallout of like Scion fleet systems. Like in the New Republic,
Yeah.
That would
Just
be
like
hilarious.
like it was like kind of like a Volkswagen to Tesla parallel of like how did Volkswagen recover, you know, through the industry post World War II, and it's like how is Tesla going to recover post like in the 2030s essentially, and just like how do we get this into Star Wars where like Scion Fleet Systems is like, okay, so
Well, over here we only buy income.
here's the here's the Thai commuter.
I'm just glad I drive a Chevy.
My cars are behind me. I have a collection. They are powered by me.
These are my ladies.
They make e-bikes too.
Yeah. Two of my bikes are carbon fiber, so they are a burden upon the ecosystem, apparently. So, that's just not recyclable.
A book about Palpatine's disastrous tariff policy.
I would love to see a more in-depth dive, because the one thing that I loved about Phantom Menace, but I felt like just could have been way more elaborated on later on, which I know other places have done it, but like the Trade Federation and their blockades, and just I want James Luceno to write a book about the Trade Federation blockades.
So much words.
And like honestly, if it was written like Reign of the Empire, like it was more of a textbook than anything, I would love that.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that'll do it for this episode of DYAD in the Force 211. Dang, we had like a very thin episode planned, but Chase just gave it all whole bunch
I'm
of
sorry.
fat.
We brought out the guitars.
That's not a call for apology.
It was a thin
that's
episode, but Chase brought the girth.
Yeah. Tabled this motion is or is it? I mean, we'll have some more conversations next week. We got a lawyer coming, and we got a Cal Kestis obsessive, but also an Andor and Rogue One obsessor as well. And if Chase decides to call in, we'll have even more girth than
Yeah.
that, so
Depending on how I just realized my shirt's inside out. Depending on how the I have friends from Atlanta that are playing a show in Seattle, and I was gonna try and go see them. So
yeah, I mean, if you can stop,
I got
by
friends
for-
from Atlanta.
even if you can stop by for a couple of minutes, yeah, that's totally
Yeah.
fine. You don't have to be here for
Yeah.
the whole episode. But shout out to everybody that stuck around even throughout our music kind of tangent, if you will. That's it. We'll see you next week. On to the next one.
For Light and for Life.
We are all anti-oligarchy.
And I still have that picture of Bix on my right monitor. I just realized.
why is it not your wallpaper?
My wife would not approve.